I'm Kim Wright, and I own Nothing Bundt Cakes in Wynnewood, Wayne, Collegeville, Warrington, and Springfield. And at Nothing Bundt Cakes, we have delicious bundt cake that will change your life. We have 11 flavors, 4 sizes, including gluten-free. And we really love to connect with the community and help with fundraisers and raffle prizes and anything that we can do in kind to help what's important in our community and to our community.
So I remember one of the things that we talked about when we had lunch one time was around how you like to get cakes out into the community. And that was always something that kind of stuck with me because it's a core value of the company's and yours. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, so what we try to do, our goal every quarter per location is to gift 10,000 what we call bites of joy. So every cake size has a different bite count, and our smaller ones might be 1 to 2, and then our larger ones could be up to 30. But in our communities and at every single location, we do 10,000 bites of joy per quarter. So that's giving away free cake in our communities, and sometimes that can be collaborating with other business owners like yourself to say, hey Lara, I want to give you 20 cakes, and you can gift to your friends, to your family, to your employees, to your clients, to your potential clients to say thank you. It could be gifting to people that serve in our community like firefighters or the hospitals. And sometimes it's just taking it into the parking lot of Wawa or Acme and gifting it to random people that are running errands throughout their day and kind of surprising and delighting them.
I love that. Who has influenced you most in your life?
I have been very lucky to have a lot of amazing mentors and influences in my life, and I really thank all of them for, all of the experiences, because I think without each one of them, whether they've been a really large influence or even just a small one-time influence, all of them have impacted me so much to get me exactly where I am today. And really my hope is to continue that forward with people that I meet, with my employees, and a lot of young people I hope that I get to have in my life. But my biggest impact easily was my dad.
Nice.
I lost my dad in 2015, but I will say throughout my childhood and even to this day, he still is my biggest influence. I think he was a man before his time in the sense that he was a mechanic by trade, and he never hesitated to teach me how to change a tire or how to bleed my brakes. When I got interested in football, probably as a preteen, he picked a football up. He showed me how to line up my fingers on the laces. And I feel like, that really gave me a male influence that was showing me how to be a feminist, really. So he was a feminist, I feel like, even whether he realized it. And I really think that impacted me a lot in my life. And he still impacts me today because I feel that he was such a great person that every day I just think if I can be even, a percentage of the person that he was, then I'll have a great life and I'll be as great as he is. So I still live with that every day. And I hope that if I can do that, then he also will, through me, be influencing my kids as well.
Oh, I love that. Right? That's amazing. Oh, that's so touching. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel the same about my dad.
Yeah.
Right? I think that, so I'm one of 4 girls, and we grew up doing all of the, what at the time was like male things, right? And there was no difference. And I do feel like you call it like empowerment. I'm like self-confidence, right? Because like, hell yes, I can do anything that, a boy can do.
Right.
And I feel like that drove me through my career, through school, through being able to do this crazy thing, right?
I think for me too, just familiarity in certain conversations and places helped me to buy my first car. Or, if I hear something in my car, I don't have any hesitation to take it somewhere and say, listen, it just doesn't feel right, or it doesn't sound right. And I can never thank him enough for that. But I think, yes, it's empowering. It gives you confidence, and really it just gives you comfort.
Yeah, sure. What drives you as an entrepreneur?
I think, like many people, because the days are endless and the tasks are endless and they're constant and there really is no day off, just like many of us, especially moms, I'm driven by my family and my kids, because just like my parents wanted more for me than what they had, I want more for my kids than I had. I had a great life growing up and I have no regrets, and I don't feel like I wanted for anything. But you still, as a parent, you want to give your kids everything you can and every advantage that you can give them. So I think, that's the common thing that drives me, just like a lot of us. But if I'm being 100% honest with you, I have been lucky enough, and I've worked a lot and really hard to achieve a lifelong dream of having a shore house.
Yes.
So we own a place in Wildwood, and I feel like having it drives me because I worked really hard to get it. So I know I have to continue to work really hard to keep it. And during the winter months when I'm head down and I'm working really hard during our peak seasons, and I'm wearing all the hats and doing all the things, and there are days sometimes you don't want to do it anymore. But I think about Wildwood, I think about the projects that I want to pay a contractor to do, and I really use that to fuel me. And I think that that's a really important thing to call out, because it doesn't mean that I'm materialistic. And I think that that's really important as a business owner, or as an entrepreneur, or as even just a hard worker.
Yes.
We have to identify that having things sometimes can drive us just as much as our families and our values and kind of those other pieces that are important to us. There are material things that can drive us. And I will say, I am not ashamed to say out loud that having a place in Wildwood really, really drives me. It gives me a physical thing, a physical place to remind myself of the why. Because there are mornings and days you wake up and you're like, why am I doing this, right? Maybe I'm just going to sell, I'm going to do something else. That's my why, and I really encourage anybody that's working really hard to consider, what is it that you love or that you just want that's material, and have no shame about it. It could be a really nice car, it could be traveling, it could be eating fine dining on a regular basis, whatever it happens to be, small, big, and to really identify it and just have no shame about it, because that can drive you just as much as my family. And I like to think that it's because I get to spend quality time with my family there.
For sure.
So it provides us a space to do that. It's not the physical place of the house or the space at the beach, but I'm not going to lie, I'm a beach girl, so I do love it.
It's not too shabby. So you have 5 locations.
I do.
What has driven you to grow, and how do you plan to grow, from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5? How did that transpire?
Well, when I first learned about the brand, we had to go to its corporate office in Dallas. And I'm a Texas girl, so I knew the brand. I loved the brand. I loved the spaces. And in Texas, it's a very well-known brand. And I remember asking them at the table, this is like a religion in Texas. How do I bring this to Philly? And how do I do that? How do I build my own empire, my own Bundt empire?
I love that.
And that's really has always been my dream, because I knew that I loved the brand. But what really made it more so for me was because of its core values. And at the time we were 90% female owned, and there's an amazing network of powerful, strong, incredible women business owners in this brand. So that has certainly influenced me in encouraging me from the original thought that that's what I wanted to do to actually making it a reality. Part of my growth has been that I've been lucky enough to open 2 locations from nothing and acquire 3 locations that the original owners began, and now I'm just continuing on what they started and building on their original legacy and impacting the communities that they started and began with. So,
and I've done both as well, acquire and start new. Which is easier for you?
That's a trick question. Yes, I think acquisitions are a special beast. I think that to me, those have definitely provided more challenges than opening a new one from nothing.
So you are a hockey mom.
I am.
As well as a business owner.
Yes.
How do you balance, or what does work-life balance, how do you define that? And how do you do it?
I get this question a lot.
Or do you?
And I always say that every day I live my life and I embrace the imbalance. And what I mean by that is, again, looking back on my young days when I was a new mom, I really felt like all those societal pressures and norms that I felt like I needed to abide by them. So I really believed if my husband and I didn't go on our date night every week or once a month, or if we didn't eat dinner together as a family, or we didn't get that bath time in, that, you know, we were doomed, right? My relationship was going to fail. My kids weren't going to be academically, you know, smart or whatever it was.
Right.
And what that did to me was it actually made me feel like I was failing every day. When I didn't check off those boxes on a regular basis, it became, you know, it put more pressure on me. And one day I decided that I wasn't going to do that anymore, and I was just going to do whatever worked for us as a family.
Yeah.
Because what I learned as I had more kids and I started to have other mom friends that were also, you know, that had careers, that what worked for one person doesn't work for another. What works for one couple doesn't work for another couple. And we don't always know what's going on behind each door to make things work. So once I let go of that, it became like I found an independence in it. So when my kids were younger, they're not that young anymore, but when they were younger, I would always say it's controlled chaos and a countdown to bedtime. And now that they're a little bit older and I have a little more control over my schedule, I always say that I embrace the imbalance every day, and some days that means I get to cheer them on at a whole tournament and I get to see them lift the cup at the end, and there are other days when the bakeries need me more and I have to be present there. And ultimately, every choice means you can't choose something else, and that's okay. And the more I get comfortable with that and the more I recognize that, the better my life is, and the more fulfilled and the more successful I feel. So I encourage everybody to embrace the imbalance, to recognize that there are phases in our life. So sometimes that's being present for our family, sometimes that's being present for our businesses, and sometimes that means being present for ourselves. Because I think one of the things I personally struggle with still to this day is that I really wish I could be more fit. And that's really hard, because when you have 4 kids who play travel ice hockey and you have 5 locations, and I'm trying to grow to more, it's hard to do that. It's not saying that I'm not giving myself the time that I need, because I am very into self-care. But workout time is hard. You know, being healthier is hard, and I really have to tell myself that I can't look back on the time when I ran a half marathon and I was, you know, running for hours at a time. Because my day will come. One day I can get back to that if I choose to. And maybe I won't. Maybe it'll be something else.
I think that is something that I hear recurring. So for me, my husband has muscular dystrophy, and so we face unique challenges and have since our early 20s. So I kind of at a really young age decided we don't do the same things that everybody else does. We don't look the same as everybody else, and we don't say we don't do things. We just say we do things very differently. And that's through everything, through how we make coffee all the way into how we parent. And so I never actually had mom guilt. And I think it was just the simple decision, I'm not going to. And I don't know how that actually worked, but it just did. From day one, I was no, I don't have mom guilt. My husband needs me, my job needs me, my kids need me, I need me, and we all get what we get. And so to make that decision, it was really kind of just decided, right?
Well, what a great example for your kids. To not have that as part of their life, because then that becomes their normal.
That becomes their normal, right? And never have they been you don't, nope. Nope, that's not how we roll, right? So, but what was interesting was when I was in corporate America, balance to me meant between 6 and 8, which was dinner and bedtime, was family time, phone was away, right? Like my team could get me up until 6 o'clock, which is when I got home. And then after 8 o'clock, of course, free reign again to like, I don't know however long, but we dealt with California, so like late.
Okay.
I'm not sure it was great balance, but that is how I defined work-life balance.
Right. And at the time, that worked for you.
And it worked for me.
Right.
And then you own your business, and there is no off.
That's true.
Right? Like, I distinctly remember a team member telling me, like, Lara, if you go on vacation, the sky is not going to fall. And then she called me, and she's like, so the sky actually fell in, there was a water leak, and stuff is falling from the ceiling. And I was like, of course it is. Right? And so for me, I redefined that to be a really integrated approach. The kids come to the studio with me. They do events with me. They see what I do. When I come home, they're like, what did you do? How did you do that? What does that look like? So instead of like separating it, which is what I did in corporate America,
yes,
it's very integrated. They were just here on Friday and like they mop the floors and they play games and they do all the things. But like as they've grown and as I've grown, like it's okay to redefine what work-life balance means.
But I feel like it's still providing such, like I said, by not having the mom guilt, that was a gift to your kids. And I do feel like as an entrepreneur and as a business owner who is 24/7, because I am too, and we spend a lot of dashboard time trying to get to hockey rinks in far, far places. And I do try to visit as many bakeries as I can on our road trips, and we plan them out. But on the way, I specifically plan calls, and a lot of them are HR calls, or they're about development or growth, or sometimes it's about finance. And my kids hear all of those things. And my oldest son, who's 15, he has really impressed me with some of the things that he picks up.
Yes.
And that he notices as we visit other locations, and his insight, and they're true business insights. Yes. And so that has really also helped me to release any of the guilt that I have. Yes. Because, again, sometimes we're giving gifts that we don't realize are happening by being entrepreneurs, and just by allowing them to be present. It's not always a negative thing. Yeah. That they have to be with us at work.
Right.